Hi guys, thanks for joining in. I'm Erica at Mend. If you guys missed us at Training Grounds, today I'm going to talk about our shoulder workshop that we did, and this portion of the video is going to talk about the stability in strengthening. If you want to check out our other video on mobility, you can go ahead and click on the link here. Today's video is going to talk about how we can assess the shoulder for strength deficits or stability deficits, and then how we can mitigate them. The anatomy of the shoulder, there are 4 rotator cuff muscles, 1 in the front, 1 on the top, and 2 in the back. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the external rotators, which goes out, and the internal rotators, which come in. We need a balance of these 2 muscles to provide adequate stability in our overhead athletes, especially. So if you're doing a functional fitness test, this also applies with any overhead carries or pulling, any pull-ups or pressing motion. Our ideal ratio for external and internal rotation strength is 2-3. We want that external rotation, again going out, to be 2/3 of that of the internal rotation, which typically is much stronger. When talking about the right versus left rotator cuff strength, we want the difference to be within 10%. If we see an imbalance between the right and left to be greater than, then you're more likely to have an injury on one side versus the others. Here at Mend, we use something called the shoulder dynamometer, or the dynamometer, which we can test your shoulder strength. This will give us a value of force per pound or in newtons to give us a more accurate diagnosis of how strong your tissues are. Usually in practice, we will use our hands, but for athletes who are high level, or if we're later in progressing, someone later into their exercise or plan of care, this is a more accurate way to track someone's progress. In this video, I am performing the closed kinetic chain upper extremity stability test. This was from a research that was done back in 2014, where the researchers utilized 26 football players to test the clinical tests of power and function during their preseason, and used the results of that to also assess their likelihood for injuries. These players had to touch the white lines 21 times or more in 15 seconds. If they didn't and did less than 21, they were 19 times more likely to become injured. In terms of dosing the exercise and weights, what we ideally want is for you to achieve 10% of your strict press max and your bench press max. This will give us a ratio of values that would be ideal to perform with the external dumbbell rotation, along with the Powell presses as accessory training to address the rotator cuff muscles. For example, if your strict press is 100 pounds, then ideally you should be able to do 10 pounds with either the external rotation or the Powell raise. If your bench press max is 150 pounds, then you should be able to do 15 pounds. Now, remember, there are gonna be certain values that are gonna be a little bit challenging. So the minimum amount that you should be able to hit is your strict press max for most individuals. For the external rotation, this is how you are gonna set yourself up. You're gonna go ahead and sit on the floor or sit on the bench and prop one leg up. If your strict press is 100 pounds, then you can use a 10-pound dumbbell like I'm using here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rest my elbow onto my leg, and the motion for the external dumbbell rotation is going to look like this, where I'm gonna go up and then slowly control on the way down. What we want to see is for you to be able to use those rotator cuff muscles in the back of your shoulder and to lower it nice and controlled. What I would suggest you doing is going nice and controlled for up to 8 to 10 reps, where it should also start feeling challenging. You should not have any pain such as sharpness or pinching. You can limit your range of motion before those symptoms come on. However, if you feel like your pain is persisting, then it might be worth getting examined by a physical therapist. For the power raise, you will lie on your side And again, if your strict press is 100 pounds, then you will use a 10-pound dumbbell. In the power raise, you are going to lie on your side in one straight line and prop yourself onto your elbow. Your arm's gonna start straight, and then you're gonna bring the weight up using your shoulder blade to initiate and slowly bring your arm down. So this is what it will look like. I'm gonna initiate the movement with my shoulder blade back, bring my arm up, and slowly on the way down, using everything in the back of my shoulder blade. Again, back, overhead, slowly on the way down. Another exercise you can perform to test your shoulder stability is an inverted kettlebell press. This is a great exercise to do to work not only on shoulder strength, but also to activate those rotator cuff muscles as the weight is while you're trying to keep it stabilized. A kettlebell is unique because the ball of that kettlebell will want to wobble. And so those rotator cuff muscles are gonna try to fight to keep it still. And you're gonna think about getting the bottom of that kettlebell to meet the ceiling. So what it's gonna look like is this. I'm pressing up, nice and controlled, bringing it back down, and then back up again over my head. We will also want to do the same number of rep schemes going for quality of motion. Another way to make your exercise a little bit harder is to include the thick pull-up band. This type of band will allow you to also fight against the weight. However, it's going to be even more challenging because as I am pressing up, now I have to fight against this kettlebell moving all around. So this is what it's going to look like. I hope you guys find this really helpful to help guide you on your shoulder health journey, whether it's mobility or stability or both. This will help you lift stronger and faster. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me in the description below, and you can feel free to look at us online at Mend Colorado for further information.